Through the Glass is back. New energy, new chaos, and yes, a new animation intro. This one is extra special. The incredible Davey Levson, a Philly-based animator who's currently studying in Barcelona, worked around the clock and across time zones to bring my silly little idea into life. And honestly, it's exactly what I hoped it would be. Maybe even better. Davey added their own touch and somehow made it all come together perfectly. And you might have already spotted this too, but I also have a new logo. It was done by Jim Anderson, who many of you in Philly will know as Grim. Jim is a Philly artist whose metal-inspired designs were exactly what I imagined when I set out to give Through the Glass its look. And I had been wanting to work with a local artist from the start, and Jim absolutely nailed it. So if you're watching YouTube, make sure to actually watch the opening this time because it's giving full cinema moment. This week's episode has a bit of everything: a chaotic Flyer stretch, a Star Wars showdown, a galaxy of league news, and one of my favorite Spanish hockey terms yet. Flyers fans, the force is strong with this one. Let's drop the puck. All right, Flyers fans. After a strong start to the season, the Flyers kept that momentum rolling through the first 6 games, stretching into an impressive 5-game win streak at home. Wins over the Kraken, Islanders, Penguins, and Predators, gutsy come-from-behind performances that echoed one of last season's best traits, refusing to quit. And let's talk about Trevor Zegras for a second, because October 25th against the Islanders, that was a Trevor Zegras show. He scored his first goal as a Flyer, an even strength beauty, then followed it up with his first power play goal in the orange and black. And if that wasn't enough, he capped the night with a filthy shootout goal to seal the win. Flyers fans are loving him already. The skill, the flair, the hair, and honestly, just his likable energy. After that came 2 more solid home wins, Penguins and Predators, where we finally saw the momentum return for Travis Konechny and Matvei Michkov, both badly needed to get back on the score sheet. TK buried one, and Michkov came up clutch in the shootout. And together, they helped the Flyers snag another shootout victory. And can we talk about Sam Ersson? He's still as locked in during the shootouts as he was last season, an absolute brick wall. But after a 5-game heater, you knew a fall was coming. They wrapped that homestand with back-to-back games against the Maple Leafs and the Flames, and back-to-backs have not been this team's friend. Saturday against Toronto started promising, with Christian Dvorak, who scored just a minute and 9 seconds in. But from there, it was all Leafs. The Flyers disappeared in the second and most of the third. After falling behind 4-1, Tyson Forster got one back late, but it was too little too late. The final was 5-2 Leafs, and the hot streak cooled fast. Then came Sunday versus Calgary, a team at the bottom of the standings at the time, a game that the Flyers should have owned. Instead, they fell even flatter. Barely any shots, no rhythm, no urgency. A late push again, same story, too little, too late. Coach Tocchet summed it up perfectly in his post-game remarks. He said, "I feel bad for the fans. These were 2 very boring games." And yeah, he wasn't wrong. After that, Tocchet's message was crystal clear. More pucks on net, more bodies at the net, take the dirty plays, forget the highlight reel stuff, just shoot. And in their next game, they finally listened. Facing the Montreal Canadiens, one of the best young teams in the league, in the electric Bell Center, the Flyers came out flying. 3 goals in the first 8 minutes. Total chaos, total confidence. But Montreal doesn't go quietly. They stormed back with 4 goals in the second to take the lead, and suddenly it was game on. Despite the score swinging back and forth, both teams kept the energy high, and the Flyers tied it up late to force a shootout and won it. The takeaway? They finally took Tocchet's words to heart. 42 shots on goal, heavy forechecking, gritty play. That's how you turn a statement game into a step forward. Then came another solid road trip performance against the Predators. And finally, this Saturday's home game, Star Wars night against the Ottawa Senators. Now this one started rough. Just about 5 minutes into the game, the Senators scored their first goal and within a minute later scored their second. I was nervous about Sam Ersson just coming off the injury list, maybe not fully in rhythm. But as the game went on, both he and the team started to lock in. They rallied to tie it, and the energy inside the Xfinity Mobile Arena was unreal. Maybe they did really find the force-winning crowd that night. We saw goals from Mapping Michkov and Jamie Drysdale, and they pushed it to overtime. But the thing I noticed is I felt like they were getting too comfortable with their shootout confidence since they've been pretty much dominating shootouts lately. And I almost feel like they were holding back in overtime just to get there, and it backfired. They gave up a goal late and took a stinging loss after an otherwise strong night. Still, the force was with them in spirit. The creativity was back, the energy was back, and that's what matters most. And speaking of the force, if you missed Star Wars night, you're going to want to see this.
At the bench, number 6, Travis Sandheim. Number 46, Trevor Zegras.
All right, time for a league-wide chaos check. First up, Alexander Ovechkin. The man, the myth, the eternal one-timer machine has officially hit 900 goals. 900 goals. That's not just a milestone, that's mythology. Obi becomes the first player in NHL history to reach 900, and at this point, he feels less like a hockey player and more like an immortal spirit haunting goalies through the decades. He's outlasted teammates, coaches, lockouts, probably a few sticks made of actual wood, and he's still ripping one-timers from his office like it's 2010. We're witnessing a living legend, and every goal now feels like another verse in hockey scripture. Now, on the opposite end of the timeline, the PWHL continues to build its empire. 2 new teams will join the league next season, the Seattle Torrent and the Vancouver Golden Eyes. The Torrent's identity comes from the power of the Pacific Northwest rivers, all motion and force, while the Golden Eyes take inspiration from the Golden Eye duck, a sleek bird native to British Columbia. It's poetic, really. Flow and flight. And more importantly, its growth. The PWHL keeps expanding its galaxy, more cities, more fans, more players getting a real spotlight. And what makes it special, it's the vibe that it brings. It's raw, communal, and passionate. It feels like what hockey was always meant to be, loud, alive, and a little bit rebellious. It's almost like the early days of punk shows, just with slap shots. Honestly, the NHL could take notes. And speaking of the NHL, league-wide odds are out. The Colorado Avalanche are once again the early favorites to win the Stanley Cup. Which, sure, but they've also been everyone's safe bet for about 3 years now. Like, we'll see if they survive the annual playoff injury curse that seems to haunt them every spring. Maybe they should call a priest before round 1 this time. Elsewhere around the league, parity has taken over. Teams we thought would dominate are tripping over their own blue lines, while so-called rebuilds are suddenly terrifying everyone, including the Flyers. Every night is a coin flip, and honestly, that chaos, it's kind of beautiful. Goalies, meanwhile, remain the league's most dramatic species. One night, there's psychics defying demigods. The next, someone's giving up a goal from center ice. That about covers the league's latest milestones, meltdowns, and minor rulebook hauntings. From here, let's slow things down a bit and dive into our bilingual segment where we'll learn one of my favorite hockey phrases of all time. La palabra de esta semana es forecheck, o en español, la presión ofensiva. That's when if your team loses the puck and instead of backing off, they go full chaos mode, chasing it down before the other team can even breathe. En otras palabras, el forecheck es cuando tus delanteros se convierten en los primeros defensores, poniendo presión y tratando de recuperar el disco lo más rápido posible. It's about forcing mistakes, cutting off passes, making the other team panic just a little. Basically saying, oh, you thought you had control? Get cute. Under Rick Tockett's system, the Flyers have made forechecking an art form. Heavy, gritty, relentless, that's our identity now. Si los Flyers tuvieran un escudo familiar, probablemente diría forecheck, hit, repeat. And of course, we can't talk about forechecking without mentioning one of the greatest quotes in recent Flyers memory.
Team speak me Backcheck, Forecheck, and Paycheck.
Simple, directo, y muy Philadelphia. Work hard, crash the net, get paid, do it again. So yeah, forecheck, la presión ofensiva. That moment in the game when chaos becomes strategy and the Flyers look their most alive. La próxima vez que los veas presionando en la esquina, vas a repetir en tu mente, backcheck, forecheck, paycheck. Nos vemos en el próximo shift. The Flyers now get a much-needed 3-day break following Saturday's Star Wars showdown against the Ottawa Senators. Next up, they face last year's Western Conference champions, the Edmonton Oilers. And yeah, the matchup sounds scarier than it might actually be this season. The Oilers haven't exactly had their best start, so this could be a sneaky good opportunity for the Flyers. Even if any time that you're playing against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, you're basically playing against cheat codes. After that, it's back-to-back games on the road, first in St. Louis against the Blues, then straight to Dallas to take on the Stars at the always electric American Airlines Center. Let's hope this is the week where they finally break the curse of those back-to-backs that have haunted them since last season. And if things get a little busy again and I don't drop next week's episode right away, here's a peek of what's waiting on the schedule. A quick return home to face the Blues again, followed by the Devils, before hitting a long, grueling road stretch leading into the Thanksgiving week. So we'll see if the Flyers can carry a little of that force energy into their next stretch. Thanks so much for watching Through the Glass, and if you're liking this content, please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and I truly appreciate it. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and now TikTok. That's right. I dropped my first TikTok this week, and you can find me at all these socials at Through the Glass PC for reels, updates, and behind-the-scenes chaos. Until then, keep your pucks up, your playlist dark, y como siempre, stay spooky, Flyers fans. Bye!